Good morning, everybody. Boker Tov. It's February, 11th, 2022. We're still here, and it's officially no mask required in New York. It's actually sunny out. It's like 50 degrees. Beautiful day. Everything's melting. But I'm here in Long Island in a hectic, crazy, stressful place here. Everyone's struggling here to pay the taxes. It's very, very expensive here. Between 7 to at medium house property tax is probably 10,000 or more. It could be 15 or 20. I was paying 15,000 years ago on a modest home. So anyway, enough of all that. Because death and taxes are two things that are always going to happen. Anyway, this is going to be an interesting one. We'll get off the COVID and all that other. I don't even want to. There's no sense in me talking about this stuff anymore. People go down rabbit holes based on emotional opinions and not on observable facts or science. So here's one for you. If I even mention anywhere on chat anywhere that global warming is true, which I believe is true, and so does 95% of PhD science, all peer review, from observations and measurements globally. I get lambasted by crazy people, and they often quote like sound bites or stuff from angry, I'll call it right-wing radio type, and I'm not a right-wing and a left-wing person. I'm in the middle somewhere. I'm not. Both sides are silly. Like, Democracy Now! Is left of left insane, as if America is the most evil place in the world. If you listen to that station, right-wing is like a fascist station a little bit too much. So I don't like either side. I'm kind of a moderate middle person. So I often ask people a simple question. Most of these people never took physics or any type of science or chemistry or anything. They're just repeating stuff that they hear or they want to believe emotionally, like a religion. It's like a religious thing. But it's not. Science is not a religion, not based on emotions and opinions. I said, here's a common sense thought experiment. I asked them, how many hundreds of millions of engines are running as we're speaking globally? Not just in the United States, because we're pretty clean now. Our engines have been cleaned up a lot here. Our emissions are way down from what they were, let's say, 30 years ago. But in China, Russia, India, there's no emission controls. And China 30 years ago had bicycles. There was not many cars there. Now I think they have more cars than we do in China. India has, who knows, there's just countless aircraft, ships, power plants, factories, chainsaws, motorcycles, trains, trucks, tractors, bulldozers, everything in the world running on diesel fuel, gasoline, coal. Natural gas is, remember, natural gas puts out CO2. You might not see smoke, but there's still CO2. So it's not like it's clean as they claim. I say all these engines and power plants and things combusting carbon-based products, you're going to tell me, and plus natural, I won't include natural stuff. Methane is much more intensely of a greenhouse gas. All these things, like from agriculture as well, have not affected our environment or atmosphere in almost 200, let's say 150 years. Even though, the air we're breathing right now has 420 parts per million versus per liter or per kilogram per cubic meter. I forget the actual number. Versus 220 was like before pre-industrial era, like in, let's say, the 1700s. Through ice cores from both poles. And the majority of the Industrial Revolution happened in the northern hemisphere, not in the southern hemisphere. That's where the biggest melting is occurring, where the gas has been released in highest intensity for the longest period of time. These are they verify these ice cap melting by satellites and GPS measurements. Not just some people saying this because they want you to drive an electric car or something. And Mobil, Exxon, and BP, and Shell, and all the major oil companies admit it. They even say it's true, and they're going along. They're not saying this is fake. Well, they could be using reverse psychology, because behind the scenes they're investing in other energy sources. But one has to pause and think about the effect of how gullible people are that would listen to emotional, political, religious diatribe. It's like camps, one camp versus another camp. And it's not based on observable facts or research. It's based on emotions. Like, my camp says this, so it must be true. And it doesn't matter if it's true or not. I'm just going to say it is. It's actually quite frightening and disturbing to realize mankind is like that. That they don't have... I think it's the scientific literalist. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a PhD. You know, I have engineering and physics from undergrad and graduate level, but I'm not a PhD, so I'm not some big expert as a PhD. But I worked for the U.S. Department of Energy. I worked in nuclear science. I took physics, chemistry, and biology in university, so I have a grasp of things. I'm not just talking off the cuff here, but I'm no scholar. I'm just saying, for the average common sense observation, all the engines that are running here in Long Island right now, burning tremendous amounts of fuel just here on New York. It's staggering, and that's only a small fraction. But that does not affect anything, and it's harmless and it's good. They've mixed up. Even, well, I won't go back into the pandemic. I'm trying to avoid that. But the maskers were versus like a face flag. A political flag, like we're Democrats because we're maskers, and only the kooky right-wing fascists don't wear masks, and they're global warming deniers, and which is true in some sense. Some of there's truth in that, but yet, it wasn't based on that the masks actually worked. It's more of a political sign, like a face flag. Instead of a bumper sticker, you had a face sticker. They should have made them blue. It said, like, Biden on it. So I don't know. I'm sure they did. They made Trump ones. I don't know. So the whole thing is, it's funny in one hand, but it's also very disturbing. Because the future generations now, my daughter and granddaughter, what do we have here now? Maybe 100 people on Earth that control probably 90% of all the money, all the resources, and all the media, including this YouTube I'm on now. They could censor me. If I was some big name person, they might. But it's all about money and Wall Street lobbyists and maintaining the little system they have and actually concentrating the wealth to a smaller pyramid. So it's really about money more than anything. All of it. It's not about some nefarious plan or anything. Like you see people say, oh, the vaccines are for population control. All these kooky stories and nonsense. Bill Gates is some kind of monster. No, he's not. Him and his wife donated more money to help, I don't know, tens of millions of people live like in Africa and other countries and educate people. Bill Gates is not like some... It was like the 5G thing, remember? Remember like 2 years ago? All these kooks around here saying 5G phones are causing the epidemic and chemtrails and flat earth. Here's my big one and I'm going to go. Bigfoot is dancing on a flat earth, making crop circles under chemtrails on his 5G phone, talking to Bill Gates about vaccines. Okay? Alright, you see what I'm saying? That's what's on the internet. So, you got to stop and pause and think about all this. And throw the anchor out there, say, think for yourself. Critical thinking is the subject here, not my opinion. Prove me wrong, prove them wrong, prove all the scientists wrong. Go get a PhD, spend 12 years in university, get a PhD in physics or something, in atmospheric sciences, and then prove all the experts at MIT and Scripps Institute and all these other places, and NOAA, Oceanic Administration, that they're all wrong. You prove that, you get the Nobel Prize, okay? Which is only $1 million, not that much. But don't be like talking off your cuff when you don't even have 8th grade science education. which they say is the average education in the United States is about 8th grade.